Hello and welcome to the Worn and Wound podcast. My name is Zach Kazan. I'm the editorial director at Worn and Wound, joined today by media director Kat Shoulders. Kat, how's it going? Welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Always fun to be on.
Of course, anytime. And thank you everyone for tuning in. We have a fun show today. We're going to be talking about summer watches. We do this, I think in some form or fashion every year. The conversation around the watch community when the weather gets warmer just turns to the idea of a summer watch. What is a summer watch? What summer watches are we wearing? It's a whole category unto itself. So we're going to unpack that today. We've got our picks for summer watches in a few different categories, and maybe we'll kind of like try to define our terms a little bit. Beforehand as well. Before we get into summer watches, we'll do a wrist check. Kat, what are you wearing today?
I'm wearing a watch that I'm going to talk about on my summer watches list, and this is a new to me pickup. This is the Tudor Pelagos 42 in blue, which actually matches my hat now that I put it side by side.
It does. It's Dodger blue.
It's Dodger blue.
Yeah. Congratulations on the new pickup. Has anyone called dibs on that watch for when you sell it later this summer?
No one has yet.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. DMs are open, as they say.
Always.
I'm also wearing a watch that I will be talking about on this episode. I'm wearing my Seiko Orange Monster.
Nice.
The reference is the SRP 315. I think this is a second generation Orange Monster.
Yeah.
I've written about this watch and talked about it before. I'm writing about it again because it's one of those like staple watches, and like to me, like it really is sort of like the quintessential summer watch in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I have to say that I think the award for coolest watch name has to go to the Seiko Monster. Is there anything cooler than the Monster? Like, that's such a cool name.
I mean, so the topic of watch names came up. It's come up a couple of times already this year because of the Ming.
Yeah,
Peep Show.
Peep Show
is a great name. Also, the Ulysses Nardin Super Freak Watches and Wonders
cool.
release. That's another brand that I'll be talking about at some point on this episode. There's a whole that's a future episode idea, future content idea for sure. It's like great watch names. Monster's up there. I do love the Monster. It's just very evocative, especially when it has these like, I think they call them like shark tooth hour markers. It just kind of like, it looks like a mouth that's like trying to, like a monster's mouth.
I think
it's really,
it's very cool. It's very cool.
All right, Kat. So first of all, before we get into like the specific summer watches that we're going to talk about, where do you come? Like, there are some people who like take a hard stance on like this idea, and like they say, like, watches aren't seasonal. You can wear any watch any time of year. I can sort of see both sides of this argument. I think some watches are like definitely better suited to the summer than other seasons, and some watches are not well suited to the summer at all. So, like, what is a summer watch, if you even believe in such a thing?
If I'm a believer, I think when I categorize a summer watch, I think of something that is comfortable to wear when you're out and you're hot and you're sweaty. So something maybe preferably on a bracelet or a rubber strap comes to mind. And I think something that isn't so delicate. And so most of my watches are, lean sporty when I think of a summer watch. Again, I just imagine like you're wearing it out on your patio or your deck or barbecuing or swimming or, doing all this sort of summer stuff. So something that's a little bit more durable. And so, and I think color comes into play a lot too. There's some colors that I just don't think work as well in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some watches that I'll talk about that I think proves that point too. But, don't listen to us or don't listen to me either. Like, you can wear whatever you want to wear all year. And I certainly do sometimes. But I think there's definitely watches in my collection and others that I think lean more towards, summer or spring vibes for sure.
Yeah. I think that there's definitely like a practical aspect, like with the heat. Yeah. And I mean, you live in a part of the country that is like, basically uninhabitable in the summertime. Like, I don't know how you do that, but like,
bad.
it's quite hot, and in Tennessee, and like it gets hot here. I mean, really, like anywhere in the United States, like you're going to have those like very, like kind of like extremely hot days, whether they're constant or a little more irregular. And it's like like the watch choice matters on those days.
Yeah. Well, I also just have to add, I felt like I've had the hottest weather that I've experienced was probably in New York. And I live in Tennessee, which isn't part of the South, and it gets really hot and humid here, certainly, but the the heat that comes off of all the concrete in the buildings, and
Sure.
it's, like, stagnant, and, like, at least where I am, like, it's pretty much open land, and you feel a breeze even when it's hot. Like, the hottest I've ever felt was certainly, like, July,
Yeah.
like, late July in New York City. I don't think I've ever felt anything as hot as that. So,
Yeah.
because everything's just, like, reflecting off of each other, and it's like you're in a microwave. That's what it feels like.
No, 100%. I mean, New York in the middle of the summer, but I mean, it can get kind of disgusting
Yeah,
for sure. But
totally.
yeah, it's like it does like impact. I mean, for me anyway, it impacts my like watch. Like I'm not
Yeah.
wearing like it's
You're
so
not wearing a
as we
leather
record
strap in
this.
that.
Yeah, like we're recording this the day after Memorial Day, which is like kind of the unofficial start of summer. I'm like, I probably won't really wear a watch on a leather strap really until I don't know, late August, September, like
Mhm.
when you first get that like that first chill in
Breeze.
the air that's fake, like that'll be like 90 degrees the day after. But like that's when I'll start, going back to leather. But like for me, like I enjoy watches on rubber straps. I feel like rubber
Mhm.
kind of like can turn anything into a summer watch. I
Yeah.
do like a dive watch in the summer. I think that makes a
Yeah.
certain amount of like practical and emotional sense at the same time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm with you on color. Although, like I have colorful watches that I wear all year. But
Same.
but yeah, no, it makes sense. I think to kind of like wear those brighter colors in the
Mhm.
spring and summer for sure. Yeah. All right. So we've kind of like broken things down into categories for the purposes of this discussion. So we're going to talk about affordable summer watches, and we didn't really
Mhm.
put a hard limit on what affordable means. Like affordable is a flexible term.
Mhm.
The watches I'm going to talk about in the affordable category are all under $1,000. So I think that that's kind of like loosely, pretty affordable. We're going to talk about the watches that we're actually going to wear this summer that we'll be wearing most, or that we expect to be wearing most, and then we'll talk about some grail summer watches that are, maybe at a higher price point or rare or hard to get for one reason or another, but kind of are like that, like ultimate summer watch. Kat, why don't you kick us off? What's your affordable summer watch?
Yeah, I've got a few. I think the most affordable I have on my list is currently the Citizen ProMaster Land, and they also have a GMT that they just launched earlier this year. I think these watches they come in under $500, which is a great, fantastic price point. They're Echo Drive, so you don't have to worry about battery changes. Charge through any light source, which is incredible. And I really like the colors. They've got this vibrant blue in the GMT, they've got a red, and then I own the Huckberry limited edition, which is green. There's incredible lume on them. They did a really great job. They are 200-meter water resistant, so you have, like, basically dive watch specs, screw down crown, titanium. The GMTs, I think, are steel, but the other versions are titanium. So, yeah, these are, like they just came top of my list for, like, an affordable, really, really cool sporty watch that really has, like, a great specs on paper too. And it's hard to find watches under $500 nowadays, honestly. Like,
Hmm.
Seiko used to really own, I think, that market, and there's still some there, but I think, with the SKX being gone, I think really Citizens really stepped up into that category a lot.
Yeah, agreed. Citizen's got a lot of really good affordable options in that sort of like $500 range. And I'm glad that solar powered watches came up really early in this episode. I mean, obviously, like the sun still shines in the wintertime. Like you can certainly
Mhm,
like, charge a solar watch, any time of year. But it's that sort of, I don't know, sort of like what we were talking about with, relating to like a dive watch in the summer. There's a practical element to it,
mhm.
but also like it makes emotional sense too. Like a solar
Yeah,
watch in the summertime just sort of like makes a certain amount of sense. And like they really are like just incredibly practical. Like
mhm.
I have a few solar watches and I'm just like always kind of like amazed by how they just like the technology is like very simple in a lot of ways, but it just allows for just like this total flexibility. And I
Simple,
think that
but, like, incredibly advanced too, and, like, talk about accuracy, like, you get incredible accuracy with these watches, and you never have to set them, you never have to worry about battery changes. I think yeah, they make a lot of sense as, like, a great, summer kick around watch.
yeah, they're great for I think they're really great for people with like big watch collections who just like want like one type of watch that they don't normally like wear. Like a
Yeah.
solar powered dress watch, if you're like a sports watch guy and wear sports watches like all the time,
Mhm.
I think makes a lot of sense if you just need a, you know, like Seiko for years has made, like a version of like the tank essentially that's solar
Mhm.
powered, in a number of different like sizes and shapes over the years, but that's, like that's a great watch for like, I think, like you can get those all day on Amazon for like 400 or $500 or less. And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
have a grab and go kind of like tank lookalike by a real brand
Mhm.
that's solar powered is a really like good option, I think.
Yeah, for sure. What about you? What's on your list for affordability?
So this is where the Seiko Monster comes in for me. So I quickly like went on Watch Recon and looked up my reference, which is the SRP 315. Once again, like these like I didn't see a Monster on Watch Recon for over $500. So like pre-owned. There's
Yeah.
a lot of these watches out there. Like they come in like a huge variety of dial colors and like they've been
And they
made
don't currently
in
make them, right?
I don't think so. I don't think that
Okay.
there's currently a Monster like in production in the catalog. I'll have to double check that. And if there is, I'll put a link, to it in the show notes. But like the Monster's like been iterated on and changed a bit over the years. I really like the earlier ones. I reviewed what I think is the most recent generation, or it was actually a blue Monster, the one that I reviewed a few years ago, and it sort of like normalized the Monster. It was a shade of blue that was
Yeah.
kind of like, not super, exciting really. Like it didn't have the same like dramatic, like markers and
Yeah.
it was just kind of like a little bit more sedate in a lot of ways than like the
Can't
early.
subdue the monster.
No, you really shouldn't
You
even
gotta
try.
yeah.
But like for me, this is like such a I don't know, I just think of it as like such a gateway
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
And it was not the first mechanical watch that I owned, but it was an early sort of like enthusiast watch for me
Mhm.
that I owned. And I've had a number of them over the years, orange monsters, black monsters. I had the blue monster. So, had a huge variety, different generations. And like they're always sort of like just like really, fun to wear. And like the 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 thing that you sort of like initially think about the monster that it's going to be like a difficult watch to wear that's too big or
Mm.
like a weird shape.
Heavy.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like that just totally disappears when you put it on. I would recommend putting it on a rubber strap of some kind.
Mhm.
I'm currently wearing my orange monster on a very inexpensive Barton rubber strap, a white one, and I think it looks pretty good. They also look good on the like OEM Seiko accordion style straps. I had this one on a strap of that kind for a while, and it literally like fell apart. It just kind of like got like the one of the keepers like fell off, and it was just getting like kind of you know how like rubber can sometimes like harden and get sort of uncomfortable. It was like getting into
Yeah.
that stage. So they work well on nylon straps if that's your thing as well. The bracelet is kind of like bulky and heavy, so like I think that that's where it kind of like earns the monster nickname most, but these are just wonderful, affordable watches, whether you're kind of like just starting out in the hobby or more seasoned. I think that they still have like a lot of enthusiast cred to me.
Mhm. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. That's a
Have you
great
ever owned
pick.
one? Have you ever had
I've
a
never owned
monster?
a monster. I've owned a variety of Seikos, but never a monster.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
have to try yours on at some point.
yeah, it's I don't know. I've always found it to be like a really just like a fun watch and surprisingly easy to wear. So,
Yeah.
would you have any other like affordable picks you
Yeah.
wanted to
I've
discuss?
got just a couple like kind of honorary mentions. One is similar to your monster. I have the SKX009, which isn't currently in production. This was the Pepsi bezel SKX that was really really popular. I've owned one of these in the past. I miss it a lot because it was a really cool watch. And I think, like, on the Seiko, like, jangly Jubilee bracelet,
Hmm.
it's perfect. It's just, like, the perfect Seiko to me, and, you can still find these yeah, if you hop on, like, Watch Recon, looks like there's several under, like, $400, or, yeah, if you're really in the weeds, you can hop on wait, did I already say Watch Recon? I meant Watch Chrono 24 is what I
Hmm.
meant. There's a bunch for sale, but you can also hop on Watch Recon to check these out. And then the other mention I have, I don't know how affordable this is, but I consider anything under like kind of the 3K price range, like in the affordable category. And there are so many Doxas that fit under
Mm,
like $3,000. In particular, like the 300T is like my favorite one, and that's just around 2,000. But they have more affordable models and they have more expensive. But I think like Doxa is just those watches scream summer to me. Like in particular, like exact orange I think is such a summer
mhm.
color, similar to your Monster. But
Why
you
is
know,
that? Why is orange? Why do we?
I don't
Because
know, I
like
think
I
it's
think
just bright and
yeah,
I would say the same with like turquoise. I think it's a very bright summery color that like it's gonna maybe clash a little bit more with like your winter clothes that are more like neutrals and browns, and I don't know, I feel like these brighter watches stand out more in the summer, and you're wearing today I'm wearing literally a red, white, and blue shirt, bright shirt.
very patriotic.
Yeah, I'm very patriot. It's Memorial Day yesterday, so I figured I'd be a little patriotic today. But yeah, I think you can't go wrong with dogs. I think they're great. And I haven't owned one myself, but I've come really close, and I think my problem is, like, analysis paralysis. I don't know which one to get because there's so many, and I like a lot of them, but maybe eventually I'll add one to the collection.
Also never owned a Doxa. I always, like, admire Doxas on other people, but when I put them on my wrist, I never really like
Mm,
the way they look. It's just like a I don't know, just like the what people often talk about with Doxas is the size of the dial,
mhm.
opening compared to the case. I don't know,
Yeah.
something about that just doesn't look right to me on my own
Yeah.
wrist, but I always like the way like Ricardo or, on our team wears a Doxa a lot.
Mhm.
And like I always think whenever he wears it, I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
that looks great.
I think they look really good on NATO straps too, in particular, like, yeah, this 300T on a NATO looks really good. I like their shorter lugs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot of variety there. They make a lot of good stuff. And as you said, pretty affordable as
Mhm.
these things go.
What
For
about you?
me, yeah, so I just have written down here G-Shock, like any G-Shock. I think that like,
That's a good
G-Shocks
one. I
in
didn't
the
think about
summertime are like
G-Shock.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they kind of have that like that same grab and go. But they're obviously solar powered G-Shocks that, connect to GPS satellites and update themselves and
Yeah.
just like makes it like very, very easy to wear in the summertime. If you're traveling, if you're like, at the beach, you can get them wet. Like they're obviously like incredibly durable
Totally.
and just a really good grab and go option and very affordable. You can get a G-Shock for $100, basically, from any retailer.
That's a great one.
Yeah. Another one that I like is the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical,
Mm.
mostly because it's like, it doesn't like scream summer to me aesthetically necessarily, but they're
Mhm.
very comfortable and easy to wear and lightweight. And that's another one that works really well on a nylon strap. I think if you put it on a nylon strap, it becomes a summer watch. On leather,
Yeah.
it's like more fall
Yeah.
vibes. But
Yeah.
I like that watch for its size and it's like, easy
They've added a lot
wearability.
more sizes too.
Yeah, yep. You can and they have quartz options also
Mhm.
now, which is adds another layer of convenience for the summer. And then the other thing I have written down is just like any Seiko 5 Sports watch. You mentioned you invoked the SKX
Mhm.
earlier, which obviously no longer exists. I think that's sort of maybe like on the Mount Rushmore of summer watches. Mount Rushmore of like enthusiast watches. It's just like a really like, obviously very important watch, kind of like to our hobby in general. But like I,
Yeah.
I always think of it as kind of like well suited to summer. And the Seiko 5 sports watches are not necessarily like a substitute for the SKX, but they are sort of like part of that lineage.
Mhm.
And those I don't have the reference numbers in front of me, but but like the dive style SKX
Yeah.
Seiko 5 sports watches are like, the pickier enthusiasts will like,
Mhm.
talk about like the lack of a screw down crown and like, say they're not a real diver, but like they look the part. And I think,
Yeah.
unless you're actually, planning on doing some diving or like getting them wet on a regular
Mhm.
basis, I think they'll probably like do the job,
Yeah, I
in the
mean, they're
summertime.
they're like 100 meters, like, you could swim in a pool with them fine, and, they come in a lot of varieties. I've seen
Yes.
so many of those, Seiko 5 models and a ton of really fun, bright colors. I really liked the, like, Rowing Blazers, collection that they came out with a couple years ago. Yeah, they're fun. They're really fun.
Yep. Yep.
I feel like you can find one that, like, fits your personality, I kinda feel like.
100%. There's enough. There are enough dial variants and like and like case variants now. There's the field watch, the dive watch, etc. There's just a lot of options
Yeah,
when it comes to Seiko 5 Sports at
totally.
this point, and like they're they're not as affordable necessarily as like the old like kind of early days, like when you could like buy them buy buy on Amazon for like 50 or $60. Like you're not getting them
Mm,
for that cheap anymore, but.
yeah.
As these things go, in America in 2026, like they are relatively affordable.
Yeah, totally.
You want to move on to the watch you're wearing this summer, this
Yeah.
summer's summer watch? But why don't you give us your
Well,
first pick for your
I
personal summer watch?
yeah, I think it's gonna be this Pelagos. I do. I think, yeah, I've really looked at these for a very long time. I had a really hard time choosing between the LHD version, which I know that you've owned in the past, and this
Mm-hmm.
blue, but I did wanna add some more color to my collection just when I popped open my watch storage boxes, I realized that, like, outside of my fears, which I'll talk about in a second, like, it didn't really have a lot of color. Everything's like black
Mm-hmm.
dial or like a dark blue dial. So yeah, I thought the lighter blue, it's kind of a Smurfy blue, in a way, or Dodgers blue, I guess, if you're familiar with the Dodgers colors. But it's bright, it's colorful, it's incredibly water resistant, and it's got this great bracelet mechanism. So the bracelet has I guess, a feature on it that allows you to sort of expand as like the day goes on. So if you need to obviously adjust your bracelet, if you're sweating and you're swelling, your wrists are swelling, you can adjust the micro adjust, but then it clicks into this feature that allows it to sort of expand as the day continues on. So as you're moving and stuff, it never really feels constricting, which is really nice. And I haven't really seen that on any other watches except for this one, this sort of type of class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the bracelet's really good. So I have to I've owned the LHD twice. I bought that watch, sold
Twice,
it, and
wow.
then bought it again and sold
Yeah.
it. I never found that like spring loaded
Hmm.
system on the clasp to be like of that much use. Maybe I just
Yeah.
like my wrist didn't like I don't know. I never sized the bracelet
Hmm.
tight enough for that to like make a difference.
Yeah.
But like the micro adjust on the clasp is very good.
Yeah, yeah.
And and very well designed. And of course it's like it's titanium, so it's like it's very lightweight and
Mhm.
comfortable, particularly for a watch of that size.
So I think that what I've learned wearing it over, like, the last couple weeks, it's not that my wrist is going to swell enough where it's gonna literally, like, expand through the I guess, the width that they offer in sizing it, but where it helps is, like, as I'm, like, picking up stuff or as I'm moving into awkward positions with my wrist, I feel like that's where it kind of comes into play the most when it does get a little tighter, but then maybe you're actively doing something, and I think that's, like, more or less where it kinda comes into play versus, just my wrist blowing up essentially, which hasn't done yet.
Yeah.
It's coming
Well,
though.
yeah. Let me did you so you I know you said you wanted some color, but
Yeah.
this is obviously like the larger version of the watch, 42
Mhm.
millimeters. If the like say like hypothetically the 39 millimeter had the same blue dial option, do you
Yeah.
think you'd go with the smaller one, or would you still go
I
for
mean,
the
I feel really comfortable with the 42. It doesn't feel too large for my wrist, and I think I was not a fan of the bezel on the Pelagos 39. I prefer the flat paint, flat aluminum bezel that they use on these models.
Mhm.
This one also has a loomed bezel too, so I
Mhm.
really appreciate like all the lume when I walk inside or when I see this watch at night. But, so I think personally I would stick with this one even if a blue came out in the 39, just because I feel like you get a lot more with the 42 with the bracelet and the extra lume, and then I just didn't like the texture of the bezel in the 39 models.
Yeah. I have to admit, even though I've bought and sold the Pelagos twice, I still sometimes am like, maybe I should try again. I wouldn't go for
It's a
the
cool
LH
watch.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
go for the LHD again, and I'm not gonna claim
What about the Ultra?
dibs on yours. Well, see, that's the thing is like I think the Ultra would be cool, but I don't know. The problem that I always had with the LHD, like it felt too thick to me. And
Mm,
it's not too thick as a watch because
mhm.
it's a very capable dive watch. It's thick, but it's not too thick. It's just like
Yeah.
for me, I just it just felt a little chunky
Yeah.
always. And the Ultra is like it has more water resistance. It's marginally like it's basically the same
Mhm.
thickness as the kind of like standard 42. I think I
But
would.
I think they reworked the case a little bit
It
though
is.
on the
It's
Ultra, and
different.
it
Yeah.
wore thinner from
I,
when I mean, at least from my memory of wearing it at Watches and Wonders.
no, well, that's my memory too, and I would like to kind of maybe spend more time with one
Yeah.
to sort of evaluate. I do like the way the 39 wears. I'm not interested
Yeah.
in it aesthetically though. I think like just like the black
Yeah.
style is kind of I don't know. I find it a little dull. But if they came out with like a cool color
Mhm.
in the 39, like that's something I would consider. Also, I'm open to the FXD. I gotta say, like
Yeah.
the more I see those watches, even though I'm not a nylon strap guy,
Mhm.
I see the appeal of those watches, and like I don't know,
Yeah.
I I'm curious. I would like
Yeah.
to, maybe it's time we do like a Pelagos Thunderdome or something,
Yeah.
and just get a
Yeah, that would
get a
be
bunch
cool.
in and gets Pelagos Thunderdome / Zach buying help. Which
Yeah, yeah,
one?
yeah, for sure.
Which one do I
It's
need?
it's always helpful.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I should go back to the Pelagos well. Like, how
Yeah.
could I like face anyone if I sold a third Pelagos after?
Well, you know where I stand on I've got this
I
Grand
do.
Seiko that I've bought. This is my 4th round of buying it, so I cannot judge. But I will say, yeah, I've owned the FXD, and I think I got kind of bored with the fact that it only could fit, nylon straps, and I like I prefer this because I can wear it on the bracelet, I can throw it on a strap, I can throw it on a leather strap, rubber strap.
Hmm.
I just have so many more options, I think. But the FXD it was thinner, and the bidirectional bezel was kind of cool. Yeah, there's a lot to love about the Pelagos line. I feel like Tudor doesn't do enough with the Pelagos line. I would like to see them do a lot more variety and options
Yep,
besides just like blue and black, you
for
know?
sure. People don't talk about this, and I don't think I've ever actually seen anyone do it. But like, you could make a custom leather strap to fit the
You could.
FXD. Like there
Yeah.
are, like that is a thing that people have done with like fixed
Mm.
spring bar watches. Is like you can fashion a strap that like hooks around and like buckles in
Yeah.
somehow. Like that's a thing.
I haven't
So
seen any for the FXD. I
neither have
just
I, but I'd be very curious to see
yeah.
if anyone has like attempted that
The
or.
the yeah, the spring bar, it's very thick, and I think that is maybe the problem there, and it kind of curves down, but
Mhm.
not to say it's impossible. Maybe someone has figured out a solution. Let us know in the
Yeah,
comments or on Instagram if you've found one. I'm kinda interested.
yeah, yeah. Same here.
What
All
about you?
right.
What are you wearing in your personal collection?
So I think the watch that I'm going to find myself wearing most this summer is my new to me. Well, it's also just new. I bought it brand new. The new Serica
Yeah,
5303 diver that I picked up in Dallas
it's a great one.
earlier this year. I really like this watch. Like for me, it's a diver, which automatically kind of makes it like well suited for summer. I think for those reasons that we've already mentioned. I love the color. On the variant that I have the 5303 3, which has this like seafoam green bezel, and it like the dial is like it reads black in almost every light, but it's actually like a very dark like navy blue,
Oh, I didn't
which
know
is like,
that.
yeah, like, and I honestly, like, I didn't even like pick up on that until I got it into the office and we were like shooting some video content with
Hmm,
it. And and it was starting to like pick up like the blue tones. I'm like, oh damn, like this is actually like a much more interesting watch than I even thought
that's
it
cool.
it was.
Yeah, it's a nice surprise.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a really cool watch. It's just like it's very it's sized like perfectly. It has this like case geometry that like hides its thickness. It's not a thick watch by any means, but
Yeah,
like the way the lugs are designed, it sort of like does that thing that like some Christopher Ward watches do that like sort of like make them appear thinner than they
yeah,
actually are. So like it's really smart in that way. It's like this watch is like not something that I would normally I think go for because it is sort of like vintage coded, but it's not based on any specific vintage watch. This is like what Serica
yeah.
does so well is they kind of like they pull from these like vintage ideas, but they make something that is kind of like wholly unique and not like necessarily like kind of like beholden to any sort of like vintage style. It's something that's
Mhm.
completely their own. And it's just like it's very, very comfortable. So I have it on the bracelet, which is kind of like in some ways kind of an awkward bracelet. And we have some video content and some written content where I'll like discuss this in more depth on why, or maybe we can get into it here too, like on why I
Yeah,
think the bracelet is, has like some real pros and cons. But like
because you
you
have, like,
know,
the mesh, right? It's
yeah,
sort of
it's
like
like
a
it's sort
mesh.
of like a mesh style bracelet. It's not technically mesh, but it appears mesh.
Okay.
And it's like, it's very, very comfortable. Like when you get it dialed in and sized right, it's like, it's very, very comfortable. And I love the way it looks. Like aesthetically, I
Mhm.
think it's just great. I love the way it looks on my wrist. And I think it definitely has like a sort of like a sort of like a classic kind of like mid-century, like almost like kind of like chic, which is not a word I would normally use to describe a watch that
Yeah.
would fit in my collection. But it does have that sort of like, it's like, it's sporty, but it's not. Like
Yeah.
it's I don't know. It's very, very cool looking. I really, really like it. They're about a little under $2,000 or so. So like this could also potentially fit in the like affordable category
Yeah.
if we're stretching.
I had it on my list, but I figured that you would be talking about it, so I took it off.
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, you figured correctly. It's a very, very cool watch, and Serica's been on a bit of a roll lately, and yeah, so like I'll be very happy to wear this watch
Yeah, I
through the
like it a
summer.
lot, and since you've picked up yours, I've been really, really tempted to pick one up, and I just haven't nailed down which version I like because there's several, but yeah, it's a really promising diver.
Well, you also recently picked up a Serica as well,
I
right?
did, yeah,
You
the
yeah,
parade,
yeah,
yeah.
which is not like, I mean, not a summer watch, but like I could
Mhm.
like that watch in certain summer, some
Yeah,
environments
I've been
could look
actually
pretty
thinking
good.
about, like, what would this look like on a NATO, or what would it look like on, like, a rubber like, a thin rubber? Because right now it's, like, on a, very traditional leather strap, which I wouldn't really wear in the summer much, but yeah, or maybe even, like, a thin mesh, like, that might look kinda cool
Mm,
with it. I need to play around because I have so many straps in, like, a drawer, so I just need to pull it out and start messing around with some things.
yeah, just real quick on the bracelet
Yeah,
for the Serica.
yeah,
So
let's hear
like
it.
it has that style. I don't know. I'm sure there's a word for it, but I'm not sure what it's called. The style of clasp is that so like one end of the bracelet kind of like slides in
Mhm.
to like the clasp, and it's just like a little like flip lock that like closes
Yeah.
down on it. And it's like it is a there's a technique to like getting the like one end
Mm,
of the strap like through the clasp that I have not mastered yet. So
okay.
it is challenging to like put the watch on in a way that like I'm just not used to. And I'm like I will
Mhm.
get used to it, I'm sure. I've seen, Jerome, the co-founder of Serica, at windups doing it effortlessly. So
Yeah.
if he can do it, I can do it. Like it is, I can learn how to I can learn how to put this watch on. The other thing about the bracelet is that I love the way that end links look and are designed. So
Yes, I do too.
they're fully articulating, and they have this like very distinctive look to them that makes it kind of like feel and look like an integrated bracelet sports
Yes.
watch in some ways.
Yeah.
I will say I wanted to see what this watch looked like on a strap, so I took the bracelet off. No
Mhm.
problem there. Put it on a strap. It was fine. Decided, oh, this will look better on a bracelet, and it's like more suited
Yeah.
to like the time of year we're in anyway. I have never had more trouble getting a bracelet back on a watch. I thought I might hurt myself
Mm.
with the spring. I thought I might have a spring bar accident. I didn't. I eventually got it back on. The tolerances are just like so tight, and
Yeah.
the way that the clasp, that first link, like
Mhm.
are on the bracelet articulates,
Yeah.
just made it like very challenging to fit. Maybe there's a technique to this too. I'm not gonna experiment with
Yeah.
it. To me, this is an integrated bracelet sports watch now, and I'll probably
Yeah.
never take the bracelet off
Yeah.
ever again. But
I've run into that with, like I'll be honest, like, maybe Tudors that I've owned, Rolexes, modern Rolexes, the tolerances are so tight, and it's very, very difficult to get the bracelet on and off, and so you end up just kinda, like, sticking I actually took my Tudor Pelagos bracelet off over the weekend. I threw on the rubber strap that it comes with as well, which similar to your Serica has like you can fit the end links on it, which I really like that look with the end links still there and then a strap on it. But yeah, it was a pain, and I'm
mhm.
not gonna lie, I scratched the back of my watch up, which is the back of the lug, so like who cares? But it's just one of those things. The tolerances are like so tight. I mean, you've gotta get it in really kinda perfectly, and I see where maybe what's the, like, Bergeon tool that, like,
Mhm.
has, like, a tweezer effect, maybe that comes into play with watches like this and makes it a little easier, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know that that would help with this one just because of the way that that end piece articulates,
Mm.
but I don't know,
So
maybe
it's
it
kinda
will.
moving at the same time that you're trying
Yeah, it was
to
just, yeah, I found it very
stabilize it?
difficult. Yeah, and listen, I'm not a, this is not like I have big sausage fingers, like whatever. I'm not gonna this is not my area of I take my watches to a guy to have my bracelets sized. Like, this is not something I've ever been like super talented in, but listen, I just thought it was worth mentioning. It doesn't like inhibit my enjoyment of the watch at all. I
Yeah.
still love it, and like I said, I'm just gonna think of it as an integrated bracelet sports watch and just
Yeah.
keep the bracelet on, for the duration, because that's like the best way to wear it, I think, for
Totally.
sure.
I do have a quick, like, honorary mention on my
Yeah, yeah.
collection that I wanna call out, which is, and I've talked about this watch at length on this podcast, but it's my Fears Jump Hour, which has, like, this, almost like Tiffany blue dial. It matches my late father's car, which I recently sold, by the way, so it's off to its new owner now, but, it's just it's so summery. That watch is so fun.
Hmm.
Comes on a really great bracelet too, so I imagine I'll wear it on the bracelet a lot. It looks good on everything. I haven't tried on a rubber strap, which I'm actually kind of excited to maybe put it on for the summer. But I think between that and the Tudor, like, these are gonna be the watches I probably wear the most this
Yeah,
summer. Yeah.
yeah. That watch definitely has summer vibes. I think, for sure. Just the color of it is very,
Yeah.
very summery. The other watch that I sort of had on my list, my personal collection that I will be wearing a bunch this summer is a watch I wear consistently, every summer going on. I guess it's like third or fourth year now. Is my Arcanaut,
Yeah.
the 4-night dial. That's just like such a summery watch. I have it on a white rubber strap. I might switch up
Yeah.
the strap color this year and try something else.
Hmm.
Because I have a handful of rubber straps for that watch that honestly I haven't even tried yet. So I might try some different color
Mhm.
combinations. But yeah, that's like a really cool summer watch. Also, everyone says, "Oh, how do you tell the time on that watch?" Which is like easy to do, but in the summertime, who cares?
Who
Like
cares?
yeah, it's like
Exactly.
it's the summer. It's like time is a flat circle. I'll also be wearing my Ming Uni probably quite a bit
That's a great one too. Love that
this
one.
summer, and I have a Ming Minimalist also new this summer that I'll probably be wearing a lot. Those watches are just like both very comfortable. Ming makes one of the best rubber straps out there.
Yeah, very comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think that's the really tough thing with a lot of watches is the rubber straps. They either come on and then you're kinda stuck buying cheaper straps that you can find, but, certain brands have, like, really, really nailed down, like, a great rubber, and,
yeah,
Ming is one of them.
yep, for sure. You want to move on to Grails?
Yes.
All right, what have you got on your Grail list?
I've got a few, but this one is one I've talked about a lot. I've never pulled the trigger on it. I will one day. I'm saying this here live
Okay,
on the Worn and
we're
Wound
we're not
podcast.
we're not live.
We're not
This
live,
is
but
we're recording. You could
I'm
edit
saying it
this.
live.
Yeah,
And that is the Omega Ploprof. I will buy one of these watches
I
at
thought
some
you had a
point.
Ploprof at some
I've
point.
never had a Ploprof. No, no, I've never had one.
Okay.
It will
I'm just
happen.
like I'm having a Mandela effect moment because I could have sworn you had a Ploprof, but all right,
Yeah.
fine. I take your word for it.
So I have right now, which is the currently offered watch from Omega, which is the Summer Blue, which I actually have tried on at the boutique, and the smaller case size is really nice, and it's a really, really beautiful blue, so I think that it's a great option. It is $16,000 retail
Hmm.
right now. I'm sure you can get a discount, but I haven't pulled the trigger on one of these. I came really close to pulling the trigger on, like, an old titanium version, but I think I'm just gonna hold out. I really hope that they bring back, like, the traditional colorway in this new smaller size, but it's a great summer watch. It's obviously incredibly water resistant. It's
Hmm.
huge. They're bright, they're colorful. They make people ask you, like, "What are you wearing on your wrist?" Because this watch looks kinda ridiculous. And it's also a great travel watch, so it has the jumping hour feature where you can change the hour time as you're traveling, and it doesn't affect your minutes or seconds that are running. So, I always like that feature in a watch. I don't have any currently that have that, but, yeah, I feel like it would be a really cool, like, summer watch to own maybe one day, but,
Well,
yeah,
you've committed yourself to buying one. I hope you're prepared to get
one day.
DMs from every Omega AD
Bring them
in
on.
the country sending you offers on the Ploprof. So this is a
Yeah.
lot. Like I respect the Ploprof. I respect people who own the Ploprof or desire to own the Ploprof. Like, to me though, this watch is a wrist torture device. Like it does
Mm,
not work on my wrist. I find it to be
okay.
quite hard to wear.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memes in the watch world is just like, oh, it's like easier to wear than it looks, and it looks like it's something that is putting you into physical pain. But
Yeah.
like you're right, like the titanium one is certainly lighter
Mhm.
than the steel. It's just like for me, it's the shape that kind of
Yeah.
like I get hung up on. But like it is a cool like it's a, like undeniably cool watch. It's a cool piece of engineering.
Yeah.
And yeah, very distinctive. If you see someone wearing a Ploprof like in the wild, like that's a person you want to talk to. I
Yeah.
think like
Yeah.
you can feel safe like starting a conversation
A watch conversation.
about
Yeah.
the watch
Yeah.
with the guy or girl wearing a Ploprof out
Mhm.
in the wild because they made a choice
A big
to
choice. Yeah.
buy that watch
Yeah.
over a normal
Yeah,
watch, and that's
it's like
fascinating.
someone driving a Volkswagen thing in my mind.
Mhm.
It's just you're choosing the weird, oddball, watch or car,
Yeah.
but I think it's really cool. I've always liked them, and yeah, one of these days it'll end up in a collection. I'm not ready yet.
Okay. Well, duly noted.
Yeah,
I await the new watch alert later this summer that you've picked
yeah.
up the Ploprof.
And I do have another grail. I'll let you go first. I have another grail that's something I will never buy because I just can't justify the price point of. But I want to hear what a grail you have, a summer watch grail.
Sure. So I've got a few. The first one that sprung to mind is the Ulysse Nardin Dive Air, which
Yeah,
is a
that's a
watch
good
I
one.
know you're a fan of as well. I remember being in the Ulysse Nardin meeting with you last year at Watches and Wonders where they showed us this watch. It's like a 38,000 at the time. I've got the article pulled up. It was 38,000. I think maybe as things have, everything's gone up in price. It might be more than that now. But this is a very, 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 very lightweight dive watch
Yeah,
with a skeletonized movement. And like to me, when I think about like a summer watch needing to be comfortable, like this is sort of it. It's like it's extremely lightweight dive watch. It's highly water resistant, very cool looking. Um, yeah, I really like this watch. Like aesthetically, I think it works. It's one of the coolest watches you'll see Nardin makes, and they make a lot of cool watches that I like. So yeah, just like a
that's
super
an
ultralight
awesome,
dive
awesome
watch. Yeah.
pick. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Kind of
great
along
one.
those same lines, another watch on my Grail list is the Ming LW.01, which is their like super lightweight and ultra thin watch.
LW.1. Okay.
LW.01. It's
Oh, one. Okay.
their so this is the watch that is like it's made out of, oh man, the name the material is like escaping me, but it's like a super lightweight material that has like a pulsing like center section that like is like basically like the running seconds, but it's just like the movement like revolving around like a aperture basically that's sort of like star shaped in the middle. It's very, very cool. So yeah, like again, just like super ultra lightweight watch. I don't think it's very water resistant because they couldn't make it very water resistant because of the size. It's like, yeah, it's 6.5 millimeters thick. So it's like, it's very, very thin.
That's
But
awesome.
this is a watch that was like designed to be like as light as
Yeah.
possible.
You want that in the summer.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have some other like
Yeah,
grails you want to? Yeah. Yeah.
quick mention would be the Resonance Type 7. This is a watch that kind of, I would say is in a lot of ways like their dive watch, on integrated bracelet. You have a dive bezel. Sadly, it's only 50 meters water resistance, which is a little
Hmm.
bit of a bummer there, but plenty enough for like summer adventures and travels, maybe not actually diving, but we've got grade 5 titanium, and I love the colors, in particular the aquamarine, which I've seen in person. The green is really cool too, but I think I would go with the aquamarine blue on this. But it's like $48,000. Like I could never justify this personally in my collection, but I think it's an incredibly cool watch and kind of screams summer from I think their whole collection. The Type 7s are really cool. And then lastly, just as another quick mention, I have the IWC Lake Tahoe. You could go chronograph or you could just go the three-hander pilot's watch there. But the white ceramic case, the white rubber strap, I think these watches scream summer to me. I
Hmm.
really, really like the Lake Tahoe editions. And those are starting around 8,000 and then the chronograph's like 12,500 or something like that.
Yeah. That's a really cool watch. I love that's probably my favorite like flavor of IWC ceramic. I think it's funny that it's the Lake Tahoe. It's sort of like this like famous sort of like winter location. And then like the white
Mhm.
is meant to evoke like the snow and in
Yeah.
Tahoe, but it's really like kind of like the ultimate like summer watch because
Yeah.
I mean, white watches are just like that's
Yeah.
summer. So yeah, the Tahoe stuff is great. The only other watches that I wanted to mention are just like on the Grail side, or just any MB&F Evo
Oh,
watch.
yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
So like the Evo watches take like, kind of like the normal MB&F watches and like increase the water resistance to 100 meters and put them on a rubber strap, which I think is like just it makes them it sort of like immediately transforms sort of like the look and feel of the watches and like gives them like some practical
Totally.
applications as well. So like I'm not going to be picky. I'd take any of the Evos. I like probably the LM101. The Evo LM101 is the most straightforward version flavor of that watch and of the Evo watches, and probably my personal favorite. But like it's like perpetual calendar. Like why not? I'd also be
So
happy to
cool.
wear one. So
Yeah.
yeah, we did it, Kat.
We did it.
Those are the summer watches. I would
I love summer
obviously,
watches.
yeah, no, summer watches are fun. Like it's to me, like it really comes down to like the rubber strap, lightweight. That makes it summer for me.
Colorful.
Colorful, yeah.
Yeah.
I asked you to prepare a cultural rec for this episode, dipping into some recommendations for our audience. What have you got?
Mhm. I've got a documentary that I watched last week, which is Marty: Life is Short.
Well, how was that?
It was great. Yeah, if you're a Martin Short fan, I highly recommend it. I am. I've loved Martin Short for a very long time. Some of my favorite movies when I was a kid he was in, and yeah, this is a great. There's a lot of home footage from him and his family, and honestly just like huge cast list of people that would spend time over at his cottage and come over for Christmas, and it's just really entertaining, and really heartfelt. And obviously he lost his wife years ago and recently his daughter, and yeah, he's just got a great spirit about him and continues to kind of like laugh through life, which what else can you do, at this point, which is my motto.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just got to laugh through everything. It's the only way to get through some of the hard times. So
of course.
yeah, I highly recommend it if you're a fan.
And that's streaming somewhere, right?
Streaming on
What's
Netflix. Yep.
streaming on Netflix?
Streaming
Okay.
on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely gonna check that out. I've seen it sort of like pop up in my, I guess, on Netflix in my
Yeah. It's a
recommended,
good one.
and I like Martin Short a lot, so I'll definitely be checking that out at some point. I also have a movie recommendation. My recommendation is Obsession, the new horror movie by Curry Barker. This is his first. I think it's his first feature film. He like comes from like the YouTube world. He's part of this
Interesting.
like young, this crop of like young filmmakers who make like mostly short films, a lot of times horror films for YouTube.
Mhm.
And a lot of these guys are kind of like graduating to like full length features in theaters. And so like Obsession is a really effective horror movie, very unsettling. The premise is a guy makes a wish for a woman he's interested in to love him,
Mm.
and if things go awry when the wish
Mm.
comes true. So it's like I said, it's very unsettling. I saw a preview for it before I went and saw it in the theater, and like I kind of got the vibe that it was like going to be more of like a sort of like in the horror comedy sort of like genre, which I like. I
Mhm.
was excited for that, and like there are like moments of sort of humor like in the movie, but it is like much more of like an unsettling, like
Mm.
disturbing horror movie than what I was anticipating. And like that's for the best. Like it
Okay.
really kind of like wrestles with a lot of ideas. It's like it's full of ideas. It's got like it's the kind of movie that you'd like see and want to immediately have a conversation about
Yeah.
after. I know Zach Weiss saw this movie, and I was having a short exchange with him over Instagram, and he proclaimed it the best horror movie he's seen in theaters since Hereditary, which I
Wow.
don't disagree with. Like it is
That's a
like in that
big claim.
category.
Okay.
So yeah, go see
Okay.
Obsession. It's
No, I
really
really yeah, that's high praise. I'll have to. So I have not heard about this movie. I have not seen trailers about this movie, and I just had an influx of people starting like last week. Like my sister reached out, she went to see it, and then I saw you guys have seen it, and I was just like everyone's and it's creating a lot of buzz on social media. So it seems like it's gaining a lot of traction really quickly, and I
yeah.
love horror movies, so I'm gonna have to go at some point and maybe watch this one.
Yeah, it's definitely becoming like a word of mouth hit, which is like exciting because you just don't have as many of those like
Yeah.
these days in the age of everything being streamable and people going to movies less. But yeah, I saw this opening weekend in a packed theater, which was a lot of fun. And apparently, like, I have a friend of mine here who saw it, this weekend, and it was also like a packed theater, and it's been out for like 2 or 3 weeks at this point. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a hit. The female lead is an actress named Indy Navarrete, who was not someone I had seen before, but she's like fantastic in this movie. She plays a woman who is kind of like unwittingly, has this like wish cast upon her, that she's like not aware, and like it's a very complex performance, and
Yeah.
like she does a lot of like, like the way that she like kind of composes her face and her body, like to convey, what this character is going through, is just like really,
Yeah.
really great piece of acting. So yeah,
Yeah.
highly recommended. Really fantastic.
The premise sort of not that it reminds me closely of another movie. Have you ever seen Witches of Eastwick?
I don't think I ever have seen,
Okay.
which is, I know
Yeah.
that's sort of like
It's sort of like they sort of wish for this, male figure man to become obsessed with them, and in comes Jack Nicholson, and he is
yeah.
obsessed in the bad ways, and he's basically the devil in disguise in a lot of ways. But it's more of it's like a horror comedy for sure. But I love that one. It's a great sort of summer watch. I do quickly want to ask you: have you started watching Widow's Bay on Apple?
I watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes of Widow's Bay, and I thought it was good. I need to like get back into it. I wasn't, I know people are kind of like, or I know people are crazy about this show, and like, I think it's fine. I haven't like quite, had the dose of Kool-Aid that I think some people have for this one, but
I mean, I
I'm
don't
going
rate
to get
it
back into it.
super high, but it is like the last few episodes have, in particular, have been pretty good, and it's a fun like summer horror, which I like that category a lot.
Yeah. I need to get back in. I know a lot of people whose opinion I respect really like that show. They're just like, the praise has been a little out of proportion with what I
Have seen,
saw, but
yeah,
I'm willing to kind of like to keep going and give it
it's
another
ramping up a little
shot.
bit. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
cool. Well, I'll have to go watch Obsession. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Go see Obsession in the movie theater. Obsession
All
in
right.
the theater is a really fun experience. Kat, thanks for coming on the pod and talking summer watches, of course, anytime. And thank you everyone for listening in. As always, we do appreciate it. And we will see you again next week for another episode of the Warner Wow podcast. Until then, take care.